Good evening and welcome to State of Business on Art Television. I'm Tamiru Nimsa. Let's have a look at the headlines. Central Bank maintains policy rates, emphasizes inflation control and low interest rates. Government plans to establish Sri Lanka as an energy export hub in the region. News in detail. The Central Bank of Sri Lanka has decided to maintain its policy rate stable, emphasizing the need to control inflation while simultaneously lowering interest rates. The Monetary Board opted to keep the standing deposit facility rate and the standing lending facility rate unchanged at 9% and 10% respectively. This was said by central bank officials at the post-monetary policy review meeting media briefing held at the central bank premises yesterday. Governor Veerasinghe emphasized that maintaining the current policy rates provides banks with the flexibility to further reduce interest rates for borrowers, contributing to economic recovery. Acknowledging the credit expansion over the past months, he expressed optimism that lowering interest rates will expedite the ongoing economic recovery. Dr. Veerasinghe added that the central bank anticipates a temporary uptick in January and February, reaching about 6% before gradually decreasing to the targeted 5% in the medium term. Dr. Veerasinghe also highlighted the increased credit growth, positive GDP growth and a stable exchange rate. The rebound in domestic economic activity is expected to be sustained, improving investor sentiments, improving supply conditions and the gradual rebound in external demand conditions. The Central Bank of Sri Lanka also noted that the external sector is expected to remain resilient, with the merchandise trade deficit estimated to have moderated during 2023. The current account balance is anticipated to show a surplus, supported by trade in services, tourism and workers' remittances. Gross official reserves improved significantly to $4.4 billion by the end of December 2023. Speaking at the press conference, Central Bank Governor Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe said it has sought explanations from several banks that have not swiftly complied with policy rate cuts as mandated by an order issued last year.
It has been lower than what we anticipated when we issued this order somewhere back in, I think, August. By that time, some banks had already started the process of bringing down interest rates. But other banks, those are not started the process, we asked them to bring down at least, I think, 350 basis points by in December. A lot of banks have done, but there are some banks that have not been able to have, they have reduced, but not to the extent that we expected. Obviously, there are other reasons. For example, now when we had this issue, this order, we also had expectations on where the other market rates, like government treasuries, yield rates, also we expected further sharp decline, but that did not happen. So there's impact on other factors. So, but that's why closely monitoring with the banks, and then we want to all the banks to follow the instruction that we have issued.
State Minister for Rural Economy, Keda Mastan, has announced the commencement of negotiations for releasing lands under the Forest Department for Agriculture and Tourism. The minister highlighted ongoing initiatives for the restoration of 61 tanks contributing to the agricultural development of the Mannar and Vavuniya districts. State Minister K. Keda Mastan revealed during a press conference at the Presidential Media Centre that negotiations are underway to release lands under the Forest Department. Minister Mastan outlined specific financial allocations for projects targeting the enhancement of the rural economy in the northern, eastern and central provinces. The minister highlighted notable progress in the Mannar district, where this year's green bean harvest reached about 1,050 metric tons. Significant advancements were also made in goat management programs, showcasing tangible benefits for the people. Acknowledging support from foreign aid, Minister Keda Mastan mentioned ongoing development initiatives, including the restoration of crucial tanks. As part of this effort, 30 tanks in Mannar and 31 tanks in Vavuniya are currently undergoing renovation. The primary objective of the government, as outlined by the minister, is to address issues such as food scarcity and malnutrition through various programs facilitated by the Ministry of Agriculture. Simultaneously, negotiations for the release of lands under the Forest Department for agricultural and tourism purposes are now in progress. Stay tuned. We will return after this short commercial break. Welcome back after the break. President, Senior Advisor on National Security and Chief of the Presidential Staff, Sagal Ratnayaka, outlined plans to position Sri Lanka as an energy export hub in the region. Sagal Ratnayaka said this speaking at the Budget 2024 conference held at the Presidential Secretariat yesterday. At the conference, the government expressed aims to generate 80 gigawatts of renewable energy, positioning Sri Lanka as an energy export centre. Governor of the Western Province, Marshal of the Air, Roshan Gunatilaka, and President's Economic Advisor Dr. R.H.S. Samaratunga also expressed their views on the budget. Gunatilaka emphasized the importance of diligent implementation, while Samaratunga outlined the challenges faced in 2022 and the anticipated 2% economic growth. Director of the State Revenue Unit, KKI Yeranda, clarified the value-added tax amendment. KKI Yeranda highlighted the government's inadequate collection of value-added tax, emphasizing the potential contribution of 6% of the GDP if properly collected. Measures to prevent tax leakages, including irregularities and exemptions, are deemed imperative for stabilizing the economy. The conference brought together government officials, trade union leaders, and civil society activists discussing the economic roadmap outlined by President Wickremesinghe. In a strategic effort to revitalize Sri Lanka's global image and grow high-end tourism, the Gold Concerto 2024 was officially launched in Colombo recently. The event, organized by the Presidential Secretariat, Sri Lanka Tourism Promotion Bureau, and Sri Lanka Tourism Development Authority, introduces a series of cultural, musical, literary, and culinary experiences. 6 prominent events featured are Rhythms of Paradise in Koggala, Gourmet Goal, Opera at the Anantara, Southern Book Fair 2024, Gold Literary Festival 2024, and Mathara Festival for the Arts. These events aim to celebrate Sri Lanka's rich culture, music, literature, art and food, bringing together global writers, poets, intellectuals, musicians, artists and chefs. Speaking at the event, Presidential Envoy Niranjan Devaditya expressed pride in showcasing Sri Lanka's cultural richness on the global stage. The Gold Concerto 2024 seeks to position Sri Lanka as a cultural hub, attracting quality tourism and fostering international acclaim for its diverse offerings.
I'm very proud that in a short period of 2 years, we have been able to revive, resurrect our global identity and stand tall and proud and showcase this festival. A small example of what we can do. I'm not talking about economics, I'm not talking about IT, I'm not talking about tourism, merely a cultural festival of what is so rich and vibrant and so positive in our country.
Speaking at the press conference, Chairman of the Sri Lanka Tourism Promotion Bureau, Chalaka Gajabahu, said that events similar to the caliber of Gold Concerto showcasing Sri Lanka's heritage will help attract high-end tourists to Sri Lanka.
His Excellency the President has a vision for the country, 2029 to achieve 5 million tourists. Yes, we can do that, but we can't do that overnight. We need infrastructure, we need sustainability, we need a lot of other investments coming into Sri Lanka. That's why we have built it. This 2023 was a comeback year after what we experienced for the past 3-4 years in Sri Lanka. Easter bombings, COVID, and then the economic crisis. A lot of people compare Sri Lanka to Maldives, Philippines, Malaysia, other competing markets. But then again, they did not have an economic crisis like we did. It was a black mark created about Sri Lanka. But that black mark, you can't take it out because we are not bringing goods into the country. We are not bringing milk or we are not bringing steel to the country. We have to bring people. And with all these travel advisories from Europe to Americas and all over the world, doing an event like this, doing events like this will show that Sri Lanka is ready. That's what we are doing with this as well. Sri Lanka is ready. 22 million warm hearts, 22 million warm smiles are ready to welcome you from all over the world. In that 5 million target, President has very clearly identified 2.5 million has to be the upper end of the market, which is affordable. If you compare ourselves to Maldives, yes, we have similar numbers, but it's quality versus quantity. So how do we attract that $500 per day tourists versus $180 to $200 tourists? So events like this will cater to get that market going for the whole country.
Stay tuned for the stock update. Trading at Colombo Stock Exchange ended on mixed notes today. The all share price index dropped 4.7 points to close at 10,274.39 and the S&P SL20 gained 2.09 points to close at 2,903.39. The turnover was 0.5 billion rupees and over 18 million shares were traded. Up next are forex rates. That's all our news for today. For this and more, subscribe to our channel on YouTube and follow us on Facebook.